Peace, what up, y'all? So, I went to the movies and saw Deadpool last Saturday, and I gotta say, man, my overall impression of this movie is definitely, it's an awesome movie. Since I saw the movie, I've been rewatching like audience reactions because I love the experience I had when I was in the theater. Like a lot of things that went on in the movie, it just brought me back to this nostalgia of the experience. Like my initial thoughts after watching the movie was it was awesome. I was kind of a little disappointed that it didn't have like a end screen or whatever case is like most Marvel movies do, but that could be a good thing, you know. That could be a good thing. The plot and the storyline was pretty good. Some people call it like a buddy cop thing where, you know, Wolverine is the serious person and Deadpool was pretty much the comedy act, which was pretty much what it was. You got Deadpool, who's his story is pretty much he was living like a peaceful life in one of the timelines, and he pretty much was, I guess you could say, kidnapped. And in order to save his timeline, he needed to go back in time to a specific Wolverine and kind of kidnap him as well, or recruit him, if you will, and bring him back to his timeline, so he could try to save his timeline. I'd say the movie kept me interested. There was a lot of jokes in there. There was a lot of story as well. Definitely a couple of plot twists. I'd probably say that when I saw Chris Evans in the movie, that I thought definitely he was going to be Captain America. Like a small part of me thought it was going to be Captain America, but the way he was covered up and cloaked, whatever the case is, I was like, I don't know. And then when he did the whole, you know, Johnny Storm thing, I was like, all right. It still was like a welcome surprise. Like it was almost like the cameos of all of the characters were Fox's fuck ups, if you will. The characters and the performances was like, Deadpool was funny as always, you know. Like I think he's always going to do his thing, and what I found particularly good about this is that, you know, Ryan Reynolds actually wrote, you know, he's like accredited as a writer and a producer of the show. So, I mean, I said the movie. So, it was no doubt in my mind that, you know, he was going to be doing his thing. It's like, you know, it was nothing more he could actually do for Deadpool than just be Deadpool. But Hugh Jackman, like, he was born to play Wolverine. And the first X-Men movie that came out was like over 24 years ago. And he was born to play Wolverine. And I think Fox just wasted just years of his potential with like the mediocre stuff. Like the X-Men movies were enjoyable, but all the rest of them projects were just meh. This was like good. Like he was so fucking cool. Like so fucking cool. From the acting, like his performance during the acting was like he was the worst Wolverine of his timeline. Like he let his entire X-Men squad die, and he's just wallowing in self-pity. He's drinking his life away or whatever. It doesn't matter because, you know, he regenerates. But now Deadpool is trying to recruit this Wolverine, and he's like not trying to participate in anything. He kind of pretty much promises him that in his world, or the people that recruited him could save his world, if he cooperated, and they can maybe save Wolverine's world as well. They could do something because they're pretty much playing with time traveling. And I love the fact that Ryan Reynolds does play Deadpool, but the character Deadpool is pretty much going back in time, and he's trying to recruit different Wolverines. And then we see like multiple characters that, like, we see Hugh Jackman play a couple of the Wolverines, but Henry, what do they call his name? The dude that plays Superman, Henry Cavill, that's his name. He even had an appearance in the movie. He was supposed to be a DC guy, but I guess everything that happened with the Black Adam movie and him being replaced as Superman, he just looks so right in his movie. Like, if they ever wanted to cast him to play Wolverine in some type of like alternate universe, whatever the case is, he would be a right fit. He's already young. He was buff. I mean, Wolverine is supposed to be short, but I think it's cool that they got like they got the physique filled out, and he had the look as well. like this young Wolverine. Like if they wanted to, you know, if Disney, along with everybody that got some fucking sense, wanted to do Wolverine right in the future movies, like they could still use Hugh Jackman. Like no, like he was born to play it, but it's like Henry. Like I think he was born to play it as well. He had the look. He had the look, so he could probably do like a young, you know, origins Wolverine, like in his soldier days. Like they probably already did it with X-Men Origins, but we could just pretend, not X-Men Origins, Wolverine's origin story. They could redo it, you know. They could just pretend it doesn't exist, and they could probably do like little nods towards it existing, like Deadpool did throughout the movie. He made nods towards stuff. Like for instance, since this was like their third movie and they're leaving Fox, whatever the case is, I like how when they were kind of teleported to this world, you see like the fucked up Fox sign in the background, and probably all the other shit in the background of the scene or whatever. Because this is where Wolverine and Deadpool had their first fight, and it was awesome. Like Wolverine moved like a fucking crawling animal. Like that shit was dope. The way they fought was just so dope. Like this is how you do a fight scene, which pretty much goes into the action and the special effects. Like it looks so real. The way they was like fighting, whatever case is, they sold the pain. You know, they didn't just like Wolverine is invincible. Like no, he feels pain as well. He just can regenerate really fast. So you know, when they were fighting, Deadpool like stabs him in the neck, the collar of with a sword or whatever case is. It's almost like they were trying. I don't know if I can say they were trying to kill each other, as opposed to like when they fought later on in the film, and it was like they were trying to kill each other. Like they fought, and it was like they were just fighting. You know, you got Deadpool stabbing him a couple times, and it's like a WrestleMania match, if you will. It's like an anticipated match, and you just getting like a snack, which is what I would call this fight. This was like a fight before they ran into Johnny Storm, and I'm forgetting to point out that in the intro, they got Deadpool dancing to "Bye Bye Bye," which is a song by NSYNC that's stuck in my goddamn head. He pretty much fights like 200 soldiers or whatever, and he's beating their ass with the bones from Logan, the adamantium skeleton, pretty much. And he's like, "There's no way Logan is really dead." So he's digging him up, and he digs him up, and he's like way past dead. But then when those soldiers shows up, he's just like fighting all of them with the body, and it's like the effects is just so cool. Everything looks so real. The action was crazy, and which leads to my next point about the humor and dialogue. Like when Captain America showed up, I mean, I'm using this as a point, but when he shows up, not Captain America, Chris Evans shows up, and we thinking we getting Captain America, but we really get Johnny Storm. So he's about to say the dialogue that Captain America usually says with such confidence, but like the first sign this probably wasn't Captain America is the swearing, because you see Deadpool looking at Captain America or looking at Chris Evans like he about to say this stuff. He about to say the stuff that Captain America says, and he says it before, but he just like flame on. He just like turns into Johnny Storm, the Human Torch or whatever, and he's flying around, but they're fighting Pyro, and Pyro just gets the upper hand and it takes all of his flames. So Johnny Storm is like flip-flopping everywhere. It's funny as hell. Althea, as they call her, she's been the blind woman, elderly woman that's been in all the Deadpool movies. She is always funny as hell. She always got some crazy ass shit to say. You know, they had said it wrong again, alternative timeline, because Vanessa was back as well. But in this world that Deadpool is in, or should I say Wade, everybody is alive, and he's just like he's like in the friend zone with her. It's almost like he went back in time, in that timeline, to a timeline where he actually just didn't do anything with her. So he stays in the friend zone. She's dating somebody else, and he just has to suck it up, because if he messes with her, then it's likely she's gonna die. The movie is very, very funny, very, very humorous. Lots of dirty jokes, lots of like, you know, a dark sense of humor for jokes or whatever. And I know I keep bringing up the Human Torch, but he has some of the funniest dialogue, because he's saying "dick for brains" and "you're not gonna like what happens next," and then he just like, we're thinking we're getting Captain America, and then out of nowhere it's Johnny Storm or whatever the case is, and he's flying all over the place. And even the way he got after he lost, I ain't gonna say he lost his powers, but after Pyro pretty much sucked away his powers with whatever trick he had, and he's like falling on signs and crushing his nuts, and just falling everywhere. Wolverine is like, we don't know that guy, and that shit was hilarious. Like the timing of it was just hilarious because he's a serious guy. So when a serious like guy in a buddy cop film says something funny, it's like it's really dry and it's like, but in a good way, in a good funny way, like well timed. I love that they didn't like censor Wolverine either. Like he cussed a lot. Like this wasn't no PG-13 movie. Like when him and Deadpool got into it, and Deadpool was like, I need you to help me say my words. Like, I don't give a fuck. And fuck you and fuck off and all this other type of shit. Somewhere later in the film, Deadpool gets the Human Torch killed or whatever the case is, and he's like repeating everything. And then the Human Torch is like trying not to, like he said it, whatever the case is, but we meet the film's villain, the main villain. Like, and I like the fact that they made this, the main villain so believable. And she just like, well, it's a woman. And I never want to hear women say that, you know, like a females aren't done right. Like they weren't, like they were given like proper respect. Their roles were written pretty nice. They were believable as, you know, as villains, as heroes or whatever. And I think they were treated with respect and they were done nice. I know I said that, but it's like, that's the best word I can think of. They were properly written. We think we're getting like Professor X or whatever case is, but we're getting his sister, Cassandra Nova, who has the ability to pretty much strip the flesh off of somebody's bones. That is insane. And she can kind of like finger your mind. That is crazy. Oh, I wanted a good I know I'm stumbling on my words, but a good cameo that I saw up there was Sabretooth. You know, the old Sabretooth from the original X-Men movies. Him and Logan had a showdown, and it was pretty cool. Like, a lot of the shit that went down was definitely pretty cool. Like, all of Wolverine's fight scenes were just, like, dope as hell. Like, the choreography was just super, super dope. One thing I wish they would have did was, like, in the fight scene, the first fight scene that Wolverine and Deadpool had, is when he's crawling like an animal, because he has like the pacing down, like he has the moves of Wolverine down, like he read like I said, he was born to play Wolverine. Just the way he maneuvered was just like how Wolverine would maneuver in the comics and in the shows. So when he crawls like animal crawl style towards Deadpool and he slices his guns off, it reminds me of the movie Wolverine versus the Hulk, when he slices his guns off. He's pretty much cuts his gun in half. And I wish they would have had Deadpool go, no, that was my favorite gun. Because that was funny as hell when I had heard it before. And I was rolling around. I kept rewinding the scene or whatever because it was like the funniest shit to me. Because they didn't just say it like that. It was like in slow motion. The direction and the cinematography. Cinematography is what I meant to say. Like, I found the direction and the pacing of the movie really, really good. Like, I didn't find a dull moment. Like, I could watch this movie multiple times. Yeah, I have, like, favorite scenes or whatever the case is, because I'm talking about the fight scenes or whatever the case is, and, you know, down to the choreography of the fight scenes. Like, these were really good for, like, a Fox movie going into, like, Disney. And the pacing of the story is moving along. Like, it was never a point in the movie where I was like, you know, when a movie is pacing and they get to a part where it's like, it's the dry part. It's like if you were to watch that movie again, if you watch a movie again and they have like a dry part, you would probably fall asleep in between that scene. It wasn't like that with this. And I've gone to the movie and fallen asleep during these type of dry ass scenes. A good example is like when Black Adam, the movie was out, they kind of like, any scenes where Black Adam weren't in were kind of like dryish to me. I don't know. It could be just me. It could be just my mentality, whatever case, but they were dry to me. Or I would say Independence Day, like all the scenes that led up to them fighting back and discovering how to fight back, that was like pretty dry. Like the action scenes were in the beginning when the aliens are taking over everything and blowing up everything and killing everybody, and then you just get to this point in the movie where it's like the pacing kind of slowed down, and it's not too bad. It keeps you like, it gives you a chance to breathe. But this movie, I feel like it didn't give you a chance to breathe, but it's a good way, because a movie like this, they don't need it to be any longer than what it is. Like, compared to other Wolverine movies, this was like the best one. I would rank it the best one. In terms of like anything new or different, they were definitely in a different, you know, world, different environment, multiple different environments or universes. I love the fact that when Deadpool went back in time to try to recruit Wolverine, we were getting different variations of Wolverine. And I mentioned that earlier. but the variations were like nods to Wolverines in the past, like apocalyptic Wolverine with the one hand, or Wolverine on the cross. When Henry Cavill showed up in the tank top and the jeans, that was kind of like a nod to the X-Men Origins Wolverine, and probably some of the comics I didn't get a chance to read. It's probably like his earlier, younger days, when he had a bike. You also had Old Man Logan, like with a shotgun, which is interesting because he doesn't typically use guns. You had One-Eye Patch Logan, somebody who goes undercover. You had Wolverine versus Hulk. Hulk made like a brief 5-minute cameo in the movie and just smashed the shit out of Deadpool to fight Wolverine. That would be interesting to see in a future movie. Hopefully we get it within the Marvel, the MCU. And even in that scene, it was like an old school Wolverine costume. I'm thinking a brown costume when he fought the Hulk in it. I guess you could say it's like brown and yellow, not opposed to the tiger stripe one, which is like what he wore throughout the movie, which is yellow and blue. I thought it brought a lot of different stuff to the table. Like in previous Deadpool movies, he's had like his like little cameos of characters you probably wouldn't expect, but weren't that big of a deal. And they weren't a big deal at me. Like when I was growing up watching X-Men and reading some of the comics, I didn't have consistent comics like that. I would have like a few things here and there, and then like I would have to I would just have the comics to rely on. Not the comics, my bad. I don't mean it. I had the comics. I had a couple comics, but they were like here and there. They weren't like consistent, like 1, 2, and 3. They were like probably 1, and then maybe somewhere along the lines I would probably have 38 or whatever the case is. But I had to rely on the cartoon mostly in the movies to fill in the gaps. But I think the movie brought a lot to the table in terms of like it had better cameos than the other movies. Now I mentioned the audience reaction earlier. And that it was like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed their audience reaction. I've actually been rewatching some of the audience reactions to see how they felt when they saw certain things go on, like when Blade into the room. Like it was definitely like a huge ovation when he popped up. I mean, Gambit and the other characters got like a pop as well. I'm using wrestling terms, but definitely when Blade walked into the room, and Johnny Storm, he got a pop as well, because I think some of us definitely thought we were getting Captain America because the uniform was blue underneath the cloak, and I'm thinking like we're probably getting like apocalyptic, Captain America, whatever the case is, Avengers or somewhere. But when he started swearing, I'm like, this is not Captain America. I don't think this is Captain America. But I love the audience reactions. I love the audience reaction when Wolverine pulled his cowl over, because we saw it in the trailers or whatever the case is, but throughout the whole movie, he just didn't put it on. But when they were about to face down like 100 Deadpools or whatever, he pulled that joint over. The audience popped, like they loudly, like they was clapping and everything. That is up until like the scene came up towards the, I think the final scene came up and his shirt came off and his like abs was everywhere. They just super popped. And I gotta say, man, the soundtrack was so good. Like I didn't expect it to be good. Because it's like, it's in sync or whatever the case is. And then I'll probably say the one thing, if I'm gonna criticize the movie, is it was one thing that was a couple things out of place. But as far as the soundtrack, the one thing that was out of place to me was when the T.I. song came on, Bring 'Em Out. I thought it was out of place. I didn't think it fit there. But it was whatever. I did have another criticism with the way like certain characters are killed off really fast. Like I didn't like how they got, like for instance, Sabretooth. Sabretooth is like one of Wolverine's toughest fights or whatever. And a lot of times their fights, Sabretooth ends up winning those fights. But he just like killed him almost immediately, like fast. And that could be the fact that this is a clone of Sabretooth, so that might be why he killed him so fast. It wasn't like a fight or showdown the way Deadpool versus Wolverine was. And the other criticism I have would be for the way X-23 came into, because she was in the show as well. I said show, the movie. She was in the movie, and she had like a decent pop. I was surprised to see her as well, and the pop she got was nice. But she fights Juggernaut, because Juggernaut makes an appearance in the movie as well. The original Juggernaut in X-Men Last Stand. She kills him. They had a fight with him, but not like Juggernaut from Deadpool 2. Like that dude was a beast, but this one was like, I don't know, maybe it was like he didn't have like the full armor on, so that's why it was probably I'm not gonna say easy for her to kill her, but when she charged, she killed him. Like she like, well, she didn't kill him. She pretty much, no, she killed him. I think I remember she killed him. She like sliced at his ankles or whatever the case is, and then like she was able to get his helmet off, and the helmet helped them defeat or kind of defeat the main villain, which was Professor X's sister. But these are powerful characters that shouldn't have they should have had like a bigger fight scene to me. So that's my criticism of the movie. So I have like 3 favorite scenes in the movie. Definitely when the first fight between Wolverine and Deadpool. The second one is the second fight that they had, because it was so personal. Like, this is where you see Hugh Jackman's acting come out, because he's like fed up with Deadpool. Deadpool promised him that, you know, if he helped him out, Wolverine's world, he could actually save his world or whatever the case is. And he said, I made an educated wish, and that pissed Wolverine enough off to basically just roast the shit out of Deadpool. Like, he got dead serious with him, and it must have broke Deadpool's heart to hear the words that he said to him. And he was like, I'm gonna fight you right now. And he started laughing, and he punched him in the nose. They just got it on in a Honda Odyssey. They just fought like hell. And then, like, it was just so fun to watch. We was all just enjoying it. And the other scene was like definitely when Wolverine and Deadpool took on 100, 200 Deadpools. The Madonna playing in the background. I'm not a fan of Madonna, and the song that they used was like a prayer. And the movie version of a song is going to always be better than the original, because I checked out the original after that movie. I was in that movie theater, like the way it was like placed in certain scenes, because they used it twice. At least the first half of the song during the fight, and then the second half during a different scene. And I don't know what it is about the movie version of the song, but it just sounded so much better when I went to go check out the original, because I had put out my phone to kind of like, you know, use Google to search where the song is from. And when I found out about it, you know, I went home and I checked it out. I'm like, I don't like it the same way. Maybe it's like not, I don't know why. I just didn't like it the same way. But the scene was so cool. Matter of fact, out of this scene, my favorite part about Deadpool and Wolverine versus the 100 Deadpool is that he killed Lady Deadpool like almost immediately. Like, she runs up on him with like a tech or whatever the case is, and he's blocking it with his claws and shit, and just like cuts her down so fast. It was almost like Ryan Reynolds didn't want to be tasked with killing his like real life wife on screen or whatever the case is, but like the way Wolverine moved was just so cool. And you almost forget the fact that he could actually lift like 800 pounds or more. Like, he's so strong, because they're fighting, and like Deadpool is using them for cover, and like the choreography in this fight was just so fucking cool. It was just so funny, the way it was just killing all the Deadpool and shit, and it was just so violent and bloody. I'm like, this is how you make a movie. This is how you make a Marvel movie. And then, like all buddy cop movies or whatever the case is, they had that moment where Wolverine decides to try to sacrifice himself for Deadpool's world. And Deadpool was like, nah. But then Wolverine somehow gets inside the door, because, again, Wolverine is strong as shit. People forget he's strong as shit. So this is not like plot armor or whatever the case is. In the comics, he is super strong. So he breaks down the door, and they have like this scene where like they're joined together. This is supposed to kill them, but their regenerative powers for some reason merge together, and they're able to stay alive. But as soon as Wolverine's claw comes out, and they try to save this Wade's world or whatever the case is, his like the top half of his shirt like comes off or whatever. His top half of his suit comes off, and you just see his like hairy ass abs. And then in typical Deadpool fashion, he like leans over and looks at him, and like he's admiring him, and then goes back to like what they were doing. That shit was so funny. And that's when the second half of the McDonald's song pops in, and I'm just like, this is how you utilize a soundtrack in a movie. Like, in some TV shows and some movies, I think a soundtrack could help save them sometimes. Like, if it's the right type of soundtrack, and like one of the things that makes Attack on Titan one of the greatest anime of all time is that they have an amazing soundtrack. And they're not even afraid to remix some of the songs for different purposes. Like, Call My Name is one of those songs where you'll hear throughout the entire, series, but it's remixed differently so that it's like for a different purpose, for a sad reason, for a reason to get you hyped, for a reason to, back to sadness or whatever. I would recommend this movie to anybody, really. That's my final verdict. I think it's a 9.5 out of 10, and that's pretty much my review of the movie. Sorry if this review went a little bit too long. Oh, I forgot. I did mention Blade came back, or he made an appearance in the movie. No, more than just an appearance. He actually had a good, like I said, a lot of the stuff that happened in this movie were like a good nod to Fox or whatever. It was like a nod, like they gave him an opportunity, but at the same time, kind of shading them for fucking up so much as well. Because how didn't we get any more Blade movies? We should have got more Blade movies. Elektra was in the movie. Gambit finally made an appearance in the movie, and it was what's his face, Channing Tatum, who was rumored to play Gambit many years ago. Now, Gambit is not my favorite character. Gambit is like my mom's favorite character or whatever. So I would be curious what she thought about the movie if she were here to see it. But since she isn't, I think she liked Channing Tatum, so she would have liked the movie. She also would have liked to have seen Juggernaut as well, making another appearance. She would have liked Blade as well. I think Channing Tatum did a good job, but I don't think he's. Gambit is not a character I would go to the movies to see carry a movie by himself, you know. And maybe that's just like he might have his own standalone comics, but he's not a character I care too much about. I like seeing him, and I think Channing Tatum did his thing as Gambit, but he's not my type of character, so I'm kind of indifferent about his appearance. But he definitely kicked ass. If he did have a movie, I would watch it. I just wouldn't buy a ticket in the movie theaters. I would probably watch it on Disney Plus or Netflix or something like that. Hopefully that still contributes to, them getting paid so that we get more things. Anything that will get us more movies like this, I'm for. And this looks like, since it's been out, and this is like the second week this has been out, like it's like a box office success. They got this other movie called Trapped that's out as well, and it looked interesting. But I don't know if I would go to the movies to watch that. Now we're wrapping up the video. Like I said, my final verdict is pretty much this is 9.5 out of 10. And I hope you guys check it out. I hope you enjoyed my review. And let me know what you think in the comments. Peace.